As the mother of all hurricanes bears down on New York City, being lovingly called Frankenstorm, the presidential candidates remain silent on the issue. We're going to talk about that on the Fallon Forum, and also Dr. Alan Kozlow joins us to discuss relief efforts in Haiti.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage. Open Sesame is Des Moines' premier Lebanese cafe. This month, Open Sesame is offering an unbeatable lunch special on Monday and Tuesdays. Mention the Fallon Forum when you order anything on Open Sesame's delicious lunch menu and get the second item for half price. That's right, buy one, get one for half price. Open Sesame's pita wraps, salads, soup, and mouth-watering Mideastern specialties will have you and your dining partner coming back again and again. Open Sesame at 313 East Locust Street in Des Moines' historic East Village.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon, friends, fellow travelers, and staunch critics. Welcome to the Fallon Forum. Later in the program, Alan Kozlow going to join us. Alan's a doctor here in the Des Moines Metro. He's going to talk about relief efforts in Haiti. I also want to thank the Physicians for Social Responsibility for helping to sponsor this program, and also the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. And this particular segment, I want to thank Gateway Market. And I want to thank Brother Trucker for kicking off the program, and Andy Fleming, who also will be playing at my Legal Defense Fund shindig next Thursday at the historic fire station on 8th Street. So come here, Andy, and come help me finance a lawsuit that never should have happened. Thank you, Congressman Boswell. Anyway, there's lots to talk about today, but I want to start by recognizing the memory of one of the most consistent and I think, what do I want to say, progressive people, an amazing people person, Paul Wellstone. Senator Paul Wellstone ran for the U.S. Senate. Oh, he died, first of all, he died 10 years ago in a tragic plane crash just before the election. And I've always wondered why that wasn't more suspicious. It's not unusual for progressive politicians in the Midwest to die in plane crashes. It's happened several times. And I just wondered why that wasn't more explored, but that's not my reason for bringing it up. This is the 10-year anniversary of his passing, and a true loss it was. Wellstone was, I think, if anyone, the conscience of the U.S. Senate, and won his first reelection despite being outspent, I think, 6-1 against an incumbent, and barely eked out victory, and managed to avoid being beaten in two subsequent elections, despite being having a target on his back because of his consistent challenging of money in politics, of special interest, and consistently sticking up for the people. One thing I liked about Wellstone more than anything was his habit of going to events, Democratic Party events, other special interest events, and some of them good events, and he would always take time to go thank the kitchen staff, to let the folks who were preparing the meals, who were cleaning the place, to let them know that their efforts were appreciated. And that's rare. I mean, you don't see many politicians even having a clue about who's working behind the scenes to make that event look so spectacular. Anyway, Wellstone did that and was consistently a fighter for people throughout his, unfortunately, abbreviated tenure in politics. But we remember him 10 years later. I remember where I was when I heard the news of what happened. I was driving to northeast Iowa by myself when I got a phone call saying, "Hey, here's what just happened." It was and it was actually that day that I decided to run for governor. So for what it's worth, Paul Wellstone inspired me at that moment. He inspired me in other ways too. I remember meeting him a few times, and once someone with the Bradley campaign, this is when Bill Bradley was running against Al Gore in the Democratic primary back in 2000. It would have been probably 1999. And Bradley's staff called me and said, "Hey, Wellstone would like to meet with you. He's going to be in town stumping for Bradley." And so, I agreed, obviously, to meet with him, and we sat down at, it was Stella's Blue Star Diner, down in the Skywalk. And, and it was like Wellstone spent maybe 5 minutes or less telling me why he was supporting Bradley, and then he said, "So what's going on with you? What are you working on? What are you concerned about?" And the next 45 minutes, he was just an amazing listener and genuinely interested. I was talking mostly about the work I was doing to try to control urban sprawl in Iowa, protect farmland, land use legislation that was going well, but receiving its challenges. And he said he was very interested in that. I had a presentation that I put together, and he said he'd like to see it. So I said, "Well, when?" And he said, "Well, tonight at my hotel after I'm done working." So me and my colleague showed up at 10 at his hotel to present him the slideshow that encapsulated why we felt urban sprawl needed to be addressed by the State House. And I didn't know at the time that he'd been up since like 5 in the morning. But here he is inviting us to his hotel at 10. Just an amazing amount of energy, passion, ability to listen, and genuine concern for people. So it was a funny engagement because again he was trying really hard to stay awake, and every once in a while he'd nod a little bit, but he still never missed a beat. Even when I thought he was nodding, he would come back with a question or a comment that was just right to the point. But again, very much missed. We need more people like Paul Wellstone, people with courage. I mean, if there's anything that defines Wellstone, it's courage. He was not afraid to stand up for what he believed, even if he might have been the only no vote in the U.S. Senate. And again, we don't have enough of that in politics. So think about that, folks. We need more folks who have that kind of conviction and that kind of ability to withstand pressure. Okay, so speaking of pressure, money remains the most influential element in politics these days. And maybe you heard that the presidential election is set to pass the $2 billion mark. And this is not just, that is just the campaigns themselves. If I understand these numbers correctly, to get the full impact of the money being spent on the presidential election, you would have to add the $230 million in donations that are going to super PACs. These are the PACs, the Franken PACs, and I'm going to use the word Franken later, so don't hold that against me, but Franken PACs, these huge super PACs that have been created, compliments of Citizens United, the Supreme Court ruling that opened up the floodgates for money in politics. And not just money in politics, but undisclosed money. We don't even know where these donations are coming from. We don't even know how much these people are who's putting what in, except that they have the decency to tell us, like some of the top donors do. But again, $230 million in donations involving super PACs. Two of the biggest ones are pro-Romney groups, the American Crossroads. Again, all these meaningless terms. And then there's also, that was put together, by the way, by Karl Rove, so you have to get some sense of how ugly and nasty their ads are going to be. They raised $68 million through September. Probably got more coming in. There's also the Restore Our Future PAC. That's founded by one of Romney's former aides. That's raised about $110 million. And then Obama has a couple, of course, super PACs as well. And those, I think, if I read this correctly, are reported to having raised $50 million. And those numbers don't even include the $130 million spent by nonprofit groups on political ads, by nonprofit groups. And I have mixed feelings about nonprofit groups raising money to weigh in on political campaigns. My feeling is, yeah, let them do it. But let's revisit this whole issue of 501c3 tax-exempt status. Why should your organization not have to pay taxes? I mean, mine does, because mine's an LLC. Mine's a small business. Why should I have to pay taxes? I mean, I weigh on politics. I weigh in on politics. So do you. So why are you special? It seems like I understand why the whole nonprofit tax status thing came into existence. I think it was an effort by then Senator Lyndon Johnson to counteract efforts by some groups to try to paint him as a communist. Of course, who wasn't being painted as a communist back then? But be that as it may, I think the designation has outserved its usefulness. I certainly have plenty of friends who work with nonprofits. There are plenty of nonprofits that do fantastic work. There are a couple that help support this program. And I think, again, my change would be to propose doing away with that tax exemption. Maybe you can tell me why that's a bad idea, but when I see $130 million being spent by nonprofits on political ads in the presidential election, that raises red flags. Okay, so the other interesting thing about this is this is the first year that both major party candidates decided not to use the public financing option that was set in place years ago to basically limit the amount of money that a candidate would spend or raise. Now, in the past, it's been very appealing because $100 million right now, that's the threshold right now. It's hard to get to that amount of money. It was hard to get to that in the past. It's not hard anymore. And back in 2008, Obama decided not to take public financing. McCain did. And interestingly, of course, Obama outspent McCain nearly 2-to-1. So I think pretty much that's the death of the public financing system for the presidential elections. I certainly feel we need public financing across the board. And I like the voluntary system, the system that in Iowa we're calling VOICE, voter-owned Iowa Clean Elections. I guess that acronym works in Indiana and Illinois and maybe some other places with tweaking as well. But the idea is to provide a system where candidates can opt into a public financing alternative that is minimally financed. It gives them a minimal amount of money, but enough to match what their privately funded, often corporate funded, or often independently wealthy guy funded candidate. So it's a good system. Unfortunately, I think it's shot at the presidential election, presidential level without some kind of serious tweaking, because of the influx of money, compliments of the Citizens United ruling. And there were even a change like this. Individual donors can now give a total of $5,000 in the primary and general elections. Now, when I ran for Congress, that was capped at $2,300. So that's gone up quite a bit. At what point does it end? At what point? And obviously it works. I mean, they're not spending $2 billion plus $230 billion plus $130. They're not spending these kinds of incredible amounts of money because they want to support the TV industry, because they like seeing their names and whatnot on the screen. They're supporting these ads. They're investing in these ads because it is exactly that. It's an investment. It gives special interests with money an inside track. Despite how disgusted people are with these ads, despite the way people feel about politics in general, these ads work. They unfortunately get inside the heads of the populace, and they get you thinking about the dark side of a candidate, or get you thinking that this guy is warm and fuzzy when he really is not. I mean, it's just it's insidious, and it's all over the place. I mean, I feel less. I feel a little bit out of touch because I don't have a TV. Here I am on a screen, and I don't have a TV. What's wrong with me? Well, I don't like I don't have time for it, first of all, but I also like to think of TV watching as a social event. If there's something I really want to watch, I'll get together with some friends and we'll do that. But I've been spared. I've been spared for the most part the political advertising, and for that I am mostly grateful. Although it wouldn't be bad to see a few more, just so I can feel your pain when it comes to these ads. But again, make no mistake, they influence you. They influence me. They influence everybody. Again, nobody is immune from it. Some people are more susceptible than others, and it's that vast middle of the electorate that the ads are seeking to influence most strongly, to bring them over to their side, or more often than not, to convince you that the opponent is the incarnation of Satan and the last person you'd want in office. So, again, we got to change. We've got to have some way of getting around money. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the two parties are so committed to the current financing system. Even if the Democrats want to tweak money, tweak the Citizens United a little bit, I don't think it's going to have the kind of impact needed to really change stuff. So I don't know. Bike, I am curious. I mean, you watch more TV than me. Have you had a chance to review any of the ads that have been playing on the screen?
I just try to ignore them for the most part, because they all seem really catty, and I don't know, they're not throwing out real issues. They're saying, well, that candidate did this and this and this, and you don't want that, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you've seen some ads. I'm curious about one thing.
Sure.
Where are your eyes, anyhow?
It's a secret.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hey, I got something else I got to talk about here. I've been tracking. I've been paying more attention to hurricane season than I ever had before, because my son is working his way across the Atlantic Ocean. He's done with that now, but it was fascinating to watch his progress as the storms were brewing out there. And I hadn't really been paying much attention, and I was surprised to see that we've gotten to the letter S in terms of tropical Atlantic hurricanes. Hurricane Sandy is off the coast of the Bahamas, I believe now. Bahamas or Bermuda? I think it's Bahamas. And she is heading northeast. Apparently, this is likely to cause, quote, the worst of its weather mayhem around New York City and New Jersey, according to the article in the Associated Press, and likely to cause $1 billion worth of damage. Now, this is such a particularly toxic mix because it's not just the hurricane. The hurricane is bad enough, but it's got you've got an early winter storm in the west heading that way, and you've got a blast of Arctic air from the north. So they're saying, the experts are saying with NOAA, that's the National NOAA. Now I'm blanking on what it stands for, but the they're saying that this is a very protracted storm. It's unusual for a storm to swoop in and hang around for almost a week. This thing is going to be an almost a week-long event, the experts are saying. It's going to be serious, they say. It's going to be widespread. And both private and federal meteorologists are calling this a storm that will likely go down in the history books. Quote from one of the folks with NOAA, we don't have many modern precedents for what the models are suggesting. So my concern, of course, is that, it's also, did I say this? It's also coupled with a full moon, meaning higher tides. So you could see some very, very serious coastal flooding up and down the Atlantic. But if it hits New York City, I mean, what's that going to do to Manhattan? Is this the event that finally puts Manhattan underwater? And other than that's a catastrophe on a number of levels. But I'm also concerned about the probable influx of Yankee fans to Iowa if that should happen. But it's always dangerous to talk about any particular weather event and to bring climate change into that, because climate is the big picture. Weather are specific activities, specific events. But I think it is not at all out of line to say, especially if you look at the recent history of storms. I mean, the frequency of the frequency of hurricane seasons where we're spawning more hurricanes than usual, bigger ones. I mean, Katrina was unusual. All these other storms that have been billed as unusual, the unprecedented burning in Colorado this year, the the unprecedented flooding in Iowa, the unprecedented drought. I mean, all these things are unprecedented. And you put them together, folks, and you've got what experts have been talking about happening for a long time. This should not be a surprise to anybody who is paying attention. This is the new climate era. Some days we really like it, like when it was 84 a couple of days ago. That was really nice. But, the big picture is not pleasant. And the East Coast is about to get a whopping serving of unpleasant. So, again, you can't pin climate change to one weather event, because then if you do that, you'll start doing what silly people like Glenn Beck did a couple of years ago and saying, hey, look at all the snow in Washington, D.C. Ha ha, climate change is not really happening. Actually, that also is part of the climate models predicted by the experts. Increased precipitation and more snow, and we certainly have seen that here in Iowa as well. So here's what bothers me. I expect the crazies on commercial radio like Beck and Limbaugh and others to decry climate change, to continue to speak out against it, because they're the pawns of the Koch industry. And again, not Koch brothers here in Des Moines. Those are good people. This is David and Charles Koch, the big oil tycoons who actually own an ethanol plant here in Iowa and have screwed the other the ratepayers in the Xenia Water District. Different story. But, those folks don't want to see any change because they've gotten rich doing what they're doing. And we talked earlier this week about how the record amount of oil being drilled in this country, the record use. It just there is a disconnect. I do not understand why we are not making this connection, and I certainly don't understand why they are not making the connection in the presidential campaign. I guess I understand Romney. Romney is only going to talk about what he needs to talk about at any particular time to get elected. Once he's elected, I have no idea what Romney is going to look like as a president, but I suspect it's going to be a guy who's focused on getting reelected. And so he'll say and do whatever it takes to do that. And he probably won't tackle climate change because it's a hard issue to talk about. Because, it's an easy one for people to come up with arguments against. There's so many. It's such a big thing, a big problem. And you don't. Right now, we're not getting any conversation about it in the presidential campaign, and that's part of the reason. It's a hard issue to talk about, and people don't want to hear it. And you get into it, and you start alienating people that might be with you for one reason or another. But the evidence is so strong. The problem is you've got such a strong, a well-financed voice working against it to shout down the intelligent arguments of scientists. Bike. You're experiencing the climate change out there every day.
Well, I think another issue is that individual people are recognizing climate change, and individuals feel like this responsibility to do something about it. But the world isn't changing along with the individual people. So I think it's really hard for people to take their methods of conservatism, environmental conservatism, and make it fit with the rest of the world and getting to work every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, on Bike, we need to go to Holland sometime. You and I'm going to I'll take your parts apart. Take you to put you in various pieces, stick you in a box.
This sounds horrible.
Stick you on a plane. I know it does. Okay, maybe I'll just send pictures. But anyway, if you go to Holland, for example, or a lot of places in Europe, you will see in Holland, in the Netherlands, 30% of the people bike to work. You would be surrounded by so many of your kind on the streets of Amsterdam or Utrecht or any Dutch city. You would be in heaven.
And I would imagine that it would be much safer there because they're more prepared for more bikers and more pedestrians than, say, Des Moines. Yes. The city of Des Moines.
So my point is that we are behind here in this country, but the rest of the world is catching up. The rest of the world is working on this issue, is figuring it out, is moving forward, and our country continues to stonewall. And in this case, in the presidential election, not even talk about it. Consider this figure. Of 50,000 words, roughly 50,000 words spoken in the three presidential debates over the last month, the words climate change, global warming, and greenhouse gases came up. Guess how many times? You take a guess at how many times, and when we come back from a break, I'll tell you the answer. And I do want to thank, again, Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of the program. Gateway is located at 20th and Woodland. And they've got the cafe for breakfast, lunch, and supper. They've got a catering service, and they've got a fantastic grocery store. I get frustrated when people tell me, hey, we could use a grocery store in downtown. We got one, and it's a great one, and it's a locally owned one, and you should check it out and keep your money local. Again, Gateway has a lot of products from local farms. Check them out, folks, at the corner of Woodland and 20th in the Sherman Hill neighborhood of Des Moines. I'll be back in a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, it's Ed Fallon. I want to tell you about saving energy and saving money. Tim Reynolds with Reynolds Energy Solutions will give you a comprehensive energy audit that will cost you nothing. And Tim will identify the many ways in which you can reduce energy use while saving money. Now, I had Tim over for an audit last month, and I was amazed, I tell you, at how much energy was going through the roof, out the windows, the back door. You get it. So before the cold winds of winter really blow hard, give Tim a call at 802-2801. That's 802-2801.
Host is a locally owned restaurant in downtown Des Moines that focuses its food and philosophy on embracing simplicity. The majority of Host's food is from local farmers who practice sustainable and health-conscious agriculture. Much of what you'll find on your plate is a familiar comfort food, presented with a modern and tasty interpretation. Host is open for lunch Monday through Friday from 11 to 2, and also available for private dinner events and special themed dinners throughout the month. So, check out Host at 13th and Locust in Des Moines.
With warm weather finally here, it's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Wow, some wedding.
Yeah, I've never seen a bride in coveralls.
Right, and skipping down the aisle to accordion music.
Not to mention the reception. That wedding cake was a freaking fruitcake.
It's your wedding. Don't leave anything to chance. Diana's Wedding Cakes. Using only the finest, freshest ingredients with free on-time delivery and setup. Choose one of Diana's custom designs or create your own. Call Diana's Wedding Cakes, 641-275-9279. That's 641-275-9279.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
There is hope. Visit groundwire.net and chat now with a live coach for answers.
Oh my God, Becky, did you see her bumper? I know she's had work done. Just last week, she had dimples and stuff all over, and now look.
Yeah, dimples and stuff. Yeah.
I'm Jamie Lasher from Minor Express. We're here to help with all the dents, dings, and drama of car ownership. Call 278-0101 or visit minorec.com for details. We'll see you in the fast lane.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That's Brother Trucker bringing us back to our conversation here on the Fallon Forum. Shortly, there will be a doctor in the house. Alan Kozlo will be joining me. We're going to be talking about Haiti. Alan has spent some time there, done some work there, and I'll look forward to that conversation. Important little country in the geopolitical sphere of this hemisphere. I wanted to answer the question. Of the roughly 50,000 words spoken in this month's 3 presidential debates, none were That's right, 0. How many were climate change, global warming, or greenhouse gas? 0. It was never mentioned once, not a single word about climate change, global warming, or greenhouse gas. You know, both candidates are mum on the issue. And it is baffling to the mind as to why they would ignore something so obviously a problem. I mean, come on. Obama knows this is a problem. I saw him. I heard him speak very strongly about it at the public library here in Des Moines back in 2008 or maybe late. I think it was 2007. Yeah, and he knows it. I suspect Romney knows it as well. Romney may not want to say anything about it because Romney's the more Romney can flip flop, the safer he feels. Anyway, so. But the fact that nobody's talking about this as a storm that is unprecedented, the Frankenstorm, as it's being called, is barreling down on New York City. We can't get any. I mean, I do not understand for the life of me how intelligent people who are in such important positions of power can stick their heads so deep into the sand and ignore something that is so critical to our species and the planet itself. So. I don't know. Wake me when it's over, I guess. But that's where we come in, folks. Because again, the stuff you're going to get on the in the mainstream media, yeah, you'll get. I mean, in print media, you'll get some conversation about this, even though print media is largely corporate owned anymore. And you'll get, and by that I mean I had no trouble with the Des Moines Register as a family-owned newspaper. I have trouble with Gannett owning it, even though Gannett does own it. I still respect a lot of the folks who work there and think they do the best they can in the situation. But yeah, admit it. You're not going to get the kind of a flavor you'd have from a locally owned paper. I don't care. I don't care whether it's Republican or Democrat. Look at the Cedar Rapids Gazette. There's a locally owned paper with a Republican bent. I'd rather have that than a national paper that sometimes throws me a bone to with an article or editorial about a liberal perspective. But again. Climate change hardly being discussed in the press, on TV, certainly on radio, what you get on radio, other than maybe NPR, is the opposite voice, the folks telling us, hey, it's not a problem. Go out and buy that gas guzzler and enjoy life. So discouraging to hear the lack of conversation about that, but not surprising. Okay, what else is discouraging? You know, John Edwards, for all his flaws, at least talked about poverty, and that was the main reason that I ended up supporting him. Ouch. But, you know, there hasn't been a lot of conversation about poverty in this campaign either. Certainly on that issue, you see a significant distinction between Obama and Romney. Again, one reason to support President Obama. But thank God for the nuns on the bus, because the nuns on the bus are back in Iowa this coming week. They were here once before. They were slapped around by the Pope, by some of the other Catholic hierarchy, but they stuck to their message, to their mission, to their purpose, and to their faith, and they continued to challenge politicians to do more for the poor. In the case of Mitt Romney, to do anything for the poor. In the case of the Paul Ryan budget, to go away, because the Paul Ryan budget is such a horrible piece of legislation for so many constituency groups, most notably low-income people. Now, the nuns were back. They were here in Iowa back in June. They was part of a 15-day, 8-state tour. And I'm hoping to get a hold of somebody from, I wasn't able to get them on the show the last time, maybe this time. It's a group called Network, which is a liberal social justice lobby group in Washington. Sister Simone Campbell is the executive director of that group, and she and the other Catholic sisters will be here to discuss the Romney-Ryan budget and how that affects the poor. They're also going to talk about health care, hunger, housing, and economic fairness. And the one thing that's missing on the list is climate change, because the folks who are going to be most adversely affected by rising sea levels and by the disruptions that will occur as the climate evolves, it's going to be poor folks. It's going to be low-income people in Bangladesh, in coastal regions, in marginal areas where they do not have, they live so close to the edge that they don't have the capacity to defend themselves against these kinds of upheavals. And so, I would like to submit, sisters, that you make climate change a poverty issue as well, an issue that affects the poor. So anyway, I'm glad they're coming. They're going to be in Iowa, 3 different locations. They're going to be in Des Moines, November 1st at 10 a.m. at the Iowa State Capitol building. 10 a.m. at the Iowa State Capitol. Nuns on the bus. And then if you're in northern Iowa, they'll be in Mason City at 1 o'clock at the Cerro Gordo County Courthouse. And at 3 p.m., they'll be in Waterloo at the Office of Working Families Win. This is a good group. All right, so anyway, nuns on the bus. If we can't get them on the show, or even if we can, you might want to go out and meet them in person. They're doing good stuff. And despite papal bull, no, that's the wrong word. Despite papal challenges, they've continued to stand by their message and their mission. So thank you to them. What else can I tell you before we go to a break? I want to invite you to a concert tonight. Rosalind Stone. We had the singers of Rosalind Stone in yesterday, and they're giving a concert tonight at 7:30 at Unity Church in Des Moines. That's on 31st Street, just south of Grand. I'm part of the concert. I'm going to be accompanying the singers on a number or two, and playing a piece of my own. And I'm going to be playing a duet with a lutist. That's going to be fun. So show up if you want. There's no charge. There's a free will donation requested. And yes, of course, you should donate something freely. But it's at 7:30 tonight at Unity Church. While we're on events, next Thursday, big event for me, because I'm going to be, I've been sued by Boswell because Boswell is disputing my claim that he offered me an $80,000 a year job back in 2008 not to run against him. And again, that's something I've said to many people over the years. It just now, for some reason, caught his attention to the point where it landed me a lawsuit, which is ridiculous because there are 3 people who know that job offer was made. Again, this provides us a good opportunity to get an inside look at how politics works, the ugly side of politics. You know, there are plenty of good people involved in politics. There are plenty of ways in which politics does make a difference in people's lives favorably. This is an example of how it shouldn't work, and I'm happy to have the conversation about why among other reasons, in my opinion, why Leonard Boswell has not earned re-election. And on that account, I guess I'm of the same opinion as the Des Moines Register, although I wouldn't go so far as to endorse Latham. I don't think he's deserved re-election either. So make up your own minds on that race. But heck, I'm going to write in Frank County. Hey, why not, Frank? You've done a good job as mayor. Let's give you a shot. Let's give you a little love and encourage you to think about running for Congress in 2014. But anyway, I've got this lawsuit I've got to deal with, which sucks to be me because I don't have a bunch of money, but I've got to hire a lawyer. It's going to cost me $5,000, and I have to raise that with the help of people like you. So we're going to have a fun party. It's going to be a shindig, a legal defense shindig at the fire station on 8th and Day, just north of the interstate. And that's going to be Thursday, November 1st, coincidentally All Saints Day. From 5 to 9 p.m., there'll be music. Andy Fleming with Brother Truckers playing. John Price is playing. Big Joe Kinzer, and I'm forgetting someone there, but catering by Sid. We'll have some great little food that Sid Cohn will be providing, and we'll have some fun times as well, including my friend Chet Gwynn at a ripe age of 84, sliding down the fire pole, demonstrating how that works. Anyway, it'll be a fun time, and if you want to donate something for the auction, I've got a lot of things coming in for the auction that should be fun, but there'll be a silent auction. If you got something you'd like to contribute, let me know. Every little bit helps. I appreciate it. Spread the word too. There's a Facebook page. You can use that to get the message out, and I will be grateful for anything folks can do to help. I want to thank Reynolds Energy Solution for sponsoring this segment of our program. Reynolds Energy Solutions is an outfit here in Des Moines, the brainchild of Tim Reynolds, who has a passion about energy conservation and efficiency. And if you contact Tim, he'll come and do a free audit. He'll do a free energy audit at your home, telling you just where you are losing energy and how much you could save if you made, in most cases, a minor investment. And some of those investments actually involve a rebate, so that you end up paying a lot less and you end up saving a bunch of money. And not only that, but you do your part to minimize your carbon footprint. So give Tim a shout at 802-2801. That's 802-2801. We will be back in a few minutes with Alan Koslow joining us here on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
Hi folks, it's Ed Fallon here. Proof Restaurant at 13th and Locust. You've probably been there for their award-winning, nationally recognized lunch specials. Well, now Proof is open Thursdays and Fridays for supper. And here's where the chefs really get creative. Let me tell you, they're like artists, okay? I've been there, and it is one of the best meals I have had in Des Moines. I've heard that from other people. You got to check it out. Proof for supper, Thursdays and Fridays, and also the second Saturday of the month. Do not assume you can get in. Make reservations. Contact Proof Restaurant online at proofrestaurant.com or 244-0655. That's 244-0655. Hi folks, Ed Fallon here. When it is time to entertain, think of Gateway Market. Let them handle the details. Gateway offers a wide variety of stress-free options like cut-to-order cheese and charcuterie. There's a delicious olive bar and a wide variety of chef-prepared dips and spreads. Or let the catering team take care of the entire event, right down to the wine and beer pairings. The expert floral designers can even customize the perfect centerpieces. So stop by or visit Gateway Market for more information. Gateway is at Woodland and ML King in downtown Des Moines. Good food, great entertaining.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Dr. Alan Cosell with me this part of the show, and Maddie, it's A-L-A-N. That's okay. We'll try to change that and get your name spelled right there, Doctor.
That's fine.
Before we welcome Alan into the conversation here, I just want to, every once in a while you get something you just can't resist posting on your Facebook page because it just says volumes. Okay, I'm a big believer in marriage equality, and I'm just disturbed that people continue to try to take that right away from people. This particular blurb says, the fact that you can't sell your daughter for 3 goats and a cow means we've already redefined marriage. Anyway. Funny. Okay. Folks, if you want to call and join the conversation at any point, I failed to give the number earlier, but it's 244-0077, 244-0077, 855-244-0077 makes it a toll-free call. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hello, Ed.
You're a physician?
I'm a vascular surgeon, yes.
A longtime Democratic activist?
Since I shook Kennedy's hand in 1959.
Wow, and you ran for the legislature not
Twice.
too long ago. Twice.
2008 and 2010.
How'd you do?
It was 46 to 52, and then there was an independent that got 4 votes. 4%. So in probably the strongest Republican district in West Des Moines, that's in Polk County. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was the first time? Second time?
First time.
Okay. How'd the second time go?
Second time about the same.
About the same, yeah. All right. Well, I commend you for giving it a shot. A lot of people who really should run for office don't. And some who shouldn't do. You would have been good. I liked your slogan. The house needs a doctor.
Is there a doctor in the house?
Is there a doctor in the house? Okay. So as a doctor, you've also got interest in Haiti.
Yes. I actually went down there 10 days after the earthquake.
Was that planned before the earthquake, or you?
No, starting about 12 hours after the earthquake, I was working all the emails and phone calls and everything, trying to find some organization I could go down with. Until 3 weeks after the earthquake, the UN restricted who could go in there, and you had to be on a UN-approved group.
And you thought that your experience as a doctor could be helpful, and that's pretty logical because obviously there's probably a lot of folks needing medical care after an earthquake.
Oh yeah, as a vascular surgeon, we deal with trying to save limbs and with limb injuries and wound care, and it's a logical thing that orthopedic surgeons and vascular surgeons and plastic surgeons were probably the most useful in the 2-3 weeks after the earthquake.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me more about the experience.
If everybody remembers pretty much that the first rescue group that got in there was the Israeli military, and they were in there about 36, 48 hours after the earthquake and beat everybody else by about 5 days. Well, they were only in there for about 10 days, and I was actually in the group organized by the Israeli Medical Association to replace them. And so we actually flew down on a flight, which was a 747, and there were 22 people on the flight. So we were all able to sit in first class section because they had so much supplies. It was a UN chartered flight.
Right.
They had so much supplies that they could only take 22 people from the weight point of view, from the equipment that they
all
had
to ride first class.
Yeah, we all had to ride first class. It wasn't that it was
some irony about riding first class to a country decimated by an earthquake.
Yeah, and it was absolutely an eye-opening, amazing thing because we landed in Port-au-Prince, and first it was basically a military camp. You know, there was attack helicopters in the air.
Why?
They didn't want. They wanted to control who was coming in there, and they didn't want.
Why?
This you have to ask the UN and military and the United States military.
Was there looting, or
there was looting? There was looting, and they wanted to prevent that. And then, as you're driving through Port-au-Prince to get to the hospital where it was at, every second or third building was just pancaked down and absolutely flat, and there were literally tens of thousands of people just that I could see just on the drive that were just in little pup tents, or just took a piece of plastic and put it over a string to hold it up, and were sleeping in that. And
remind me, how many people were killed in that disaster?
There were about a 250,000 people killed.
250,000.
Yeah, 250,000. It was the second largest natural disaster in the last about 150 years.
250,000 people
killed in seconds, within seconds. And then there were another 150, 200,000 who had crushed or lost limbs and are permanently disabled.
Gosh, I mean, so you were like in the middle of the stench of death. I mean, there had to be, just all around you.
Oh, it is. You walk by buildings and you could smell dead bodies, the stench of dead bodies coming out from the buildings. It was a life-changing experience. It was just seeing that type of devastation. But the amazing thing was seeing how the Haitian people were responding to it. They were the most stoic people, even the ones who were injured, the ones who had lost everything, had lost family members. I was just absolutely impressed with the stoicism of the people that I met.
So you say it was a life-changing experience. In what way did it change your life?
It told me what was important, showed me what's really important, you know, because we all have our possessions and we worry about, do we have the most current iPhone or the most current iPod?
I never worry about that, by the way.
You know, what car do we drive?
I don't worry about that either.
You don't worry about that. I know, I've seen your car.
You've seen my bike.
I've seen your bike.
No,
yeah.
that's my second bike is a car, but it has 236,000 miles on it. But yeah, you're right. We do as Americans worry a lot about those things.
I have 227,000 miles on my car.
All right, well, let's race sometime. So yeah, but we do. I mean, we are as a society very driven by material acquisition,
right?
And we're driven to do that in large part because of a phenomenal advertising machine coming at us from Wall Street.
Definitely. But the thing that I learned there that was life-changing is even in the face of this, how optimistic some of the people were. They lost family members, they lost their home, they lost every possession, but they were still alive.
Wow.
And I had the same experience just recently. I was in South Sudan, and people who are going to be in refugee camps probably for the rest of their life, and they were just they weren't pessimistic.
Yeah, now, South Sudan, of course, its own country now,
correct,
but still being attacked by army, I'm not sure if it's guerrillas or the official army. I believe the attacks have the sanction of the North Sudan government.
Well, no, actually, there's really three major forces in Sudan, South Sudan area. There's the Khartoum government in Sudan. There's the Sudanese government in Juba, and then there's the combined militia forces. The combined militia forces actually are more on the side of the South Sudanese and fighting the Sudanese, and we were actually, what happened was, this was an absolute terrible situation that shows man's inhumanity to man. I know you talk about this all the time. And when Sudan and South Sudan split, they split the oil reserves in half, but South Sudan got all the functioning drilled oil wells. So Sudan, to get at the oil, needed to drill new oil wells. It turns out, though, that all the oil reserves in Sudan, there are natives, populations, tribes that live on them. And so what they did...
Is Nuba Mountain one of those?
The Nuba Mountains, yeah. Nuba Mountain, the Blue Nile, Upper Nile area. And so what they did was, this was in the Blue Nile area, they took attack helicopters, and over a 2-month period, they drove 150,000 people off the land using attack helicopters into South Sudan.
We had a talk here in Des Moines recently about that.
Actually, Rabbi Kaufman is one of the organizers. Something that people might not know is in Iowa, we actually have one of the largest populations of Sudanese that are exiles from the country because they are leaders of the various tribal groups or regional groups. And what they did this past August, they've been having multiple meetings, but this past August they actually had a meeting where all the leaders in exile from Sudan and South Sudan came to Des Moines, and they had a fantastic meeting. I actually presented on my experience in South Sudan at the refugee camps to this group.
Yeah. Well, it's very good, very important work, Alan, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult to see people in such dire straits.
It is, well, it's hard from several points of view. The first is you have to basically, these things happen. There are two types of medical mission types of situations. One is one where you can plan 6 months in advance and it's been ongoing and you continue to go. And then there's the one like Haiti, El Salvador, which I also went to when they had the earthquake.
What year was that?
That was 2002.
Okay.
And there 27,000 people were killed. And then South Sudan with 150,000 refugees. And these literally, you have days or weeks to, or a week or so to plan, and you got to drop your practice. You got to let all your patients know, move things around.
I assume you got to find substitute physicians to fill in.
I have physicians who cover me, but you lose a lot of income for it. But the thing is, you got to ask yourself, what's more important? Stepping in and doing something where sometimes it's hard for them to find volunteers that have the skill set that's needed. Stepping in and doing something that literally can have an impact on hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of people.
So you've seen the human casualty side of life in El Salvador, in Haiti, and in Sudan. Which how does that impact your decision on what to do in the upcoming election?
Well, it's just absolutely critical that we have a helping hand around the world, not a heavy hand. There's a difference. One of the things is we just had the World Food Prize here, and I've been going to it for 8 of the last 11 years, and you also see the effects of hunger around the world and everything. And what's needed is a helping hand, not a heavy hand.
So is that from, do you see a more helpful hand from Obama or from Mitt Romney?
Oh, definitely from Obama.
And why is that?
Well, he's shown that. Well, the first thing is one of the problems is women's rights and women's support. And Obama, with the Mexico City protocols, is helping with birth control around the world. And Mitt Romney has said that's going to be one of his first acts to reverse the Mexico City protocols, basically stopping the United States helping with this. One of the things that has allowed women to become as integrated in the functioning of society at the level that they have in the United States is the revolution that happened in the 60s with birth control, and in the 70s with Roe v. Wade. And this is what we're hoping for in third world countries, developing countries, is that these women will become empowered by being able to control their reproductive.
Yeah, and clearly that's an issue that Republicans in general haven't been very good at. And very much, I mean, you've got this Senate candidate in Indiana, Murdoch. Rape is part of God's plan.
Well, actually, I don't think he said rape is God's plan. Getting pregnant from rape is God's plan.
But it's even worse. I mean, God, I mean, you want that element involved with decisions about women's health care?
Oh, it's absolutely
planning,
true.
About contraception, yeah. I mean, so beyond your hope that Obama wins re-election, what is your realistic expectation both for the election nationally and here in Iowa?
Well, my realistic expectation, I follow 538 political blog, Nate Silver's political blog, and I feel fairly confident that Obama's going to win. And actually, over the last 4 days, the 7 battleground states have all ticked up to higher percentages.
Including Iowa?
Including Iowa, in likelihood for Obama to win. So I think that Nate Silver has just been so on the nose, so I think he's going to win.
Wait, what about voters? I mean, you've got voter suppression happening in every part of this country.
Oh, it is. It is. But if you notice, the Supreme Court has, or the state federal courts have come in on the side against the voter suppression in every single case.
Well, against which act of voter suppression? One we have here in Iowa is Governor Branstad repealing Vilsack's executive order that allowed former felons who've paid all their dues to vote without having to go through a ridiculously tedious process. So, I mean, there's that element of suppression.
Right, but that hasn't come to a circuit court yet.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
and I know it probably won't, but it should.
It should.
I mean, the original intent of that approach to restoration of voting rights was racially motivated.
Right, and the thing is, they use the excuse that there's illegal voting or vote tampering, and a Republican watchdog of this in the last 12 years has only found 24 cases of voter fraud.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. What's your predictions for the congressional races here in Iowa?
Well, I think the 2 Democratic congressmen to the east of the state have no trouble, and they will win easily. I think that it's going to come down to the wire for the other 2, the Boswell and the Vilsack races. But I think that unfortunately, unless there's really fantastic voter turnout in Ames, I think Vilsack will lose by a little bit. But if there's fantastic voter turnout in Ames, I think that she has a chance.
So what about hope for, and this is probably a longer conversation, we only have a minute left, but hope for the Democratic Party. I'm not a Democrat anymore, Alan. I became an independent.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I mean, the party has left me. It used to be a party that truly fought for the people, the public good. I don't see it happening. I mean, there's a difference. I think people who say there's no difference are wrong. There's clearly some differences, but it's not enough.
Yeah, I think we need a third, fourth, and maybe even a fifth party in the United States.
Really?
And I don't,
Shall we get to work on that after the election, you and I?
I would not mind working on that.
Okay. Folks, Alan Kozlow, my guest today. Dr. Alan Kozlow, a local physician who's highly decorated. He's done an amazing career. And he continues that amazing career by doing his part to help folks in countries that have been hit by horrible natural and, in some cases, in the case of Sudan, man-made disasters. So thank you for your work, Alan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Look forward to coming back again.
Folks, I will be back with you on Monday at 12 noon, same time, same place here in the Webcast One studio across from Palmer's Deli in the Skywalk. I want to thank my producer, Maddie Arrington. I want to remind you to stay tuned for Bradshaw. He'll be with you next at 1:30. And I want to thank Proof Restaurant, the sponsor for this segment of our program. Alan, if you have not been to Proof Restaurant, you've made a big mistake. Have you?
I haven't.
Oh, my gosh. Get down there, especially on Wednesday night, because they're trying to they've been starting to serve supper a few months ago, Friday and Saturday. Now it's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday because Friday and Saturday went so well. So, folks, get down to Proof. Thank them for supporting the progressive alternative to radical right-wing radio. Thank them for bringing a very unique and interesting style of dining to Des Moines. It really is fantastic. The chefs, Hal and Sean, amazing. Zach Mannheimer, a wonderful partner in that business. So, folks, I highly recommend Proof at 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines. Again, I'll be back with you Monday. Have a great weekend.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.